To get your copy and the framework inside it, the link is the first one in the description below this video. Tomorrow, you will forget you ever felt this click. Tonight, you will not. Thank you for listening. The ghost is the part of you that knows our definition of value is too small, too narrow, too mean. The cure is to see the bigger picture. The future is not something we find. It is something we build. If something inside you shifted while listening to this, if you felt that quiet click of recognition, then the work has already begun. But that feeling is fragile. Tomorrow, the old rules will try to pull you back in. The noise of the world will try to make you forget. To hold on to this clarity, you need a tool. The print and ebook versions of this book contain a simple one-page guide called the 4 Rooms Framework. It is a worksheet that walks you through making your next big decision, ensuring you honor your whole self, not just your wallet. It's a tool you can use for the rest of your life. Back in 1920, he predicted that the foul emotion of greed would be a necessary engine for about another 100 years. After that, he believed, humanity would finally be wealthy enough to leave that greed behind, to pursue higher purposes. Those 100 years are up. The time is now. It is time to adopt a broader spectrum of values to guide our lives, our companies, and our world. This isn't a fantasy. It is a practical, urgent necessity. It is the next stage of human evolution. It means seeing the world through all 4 rooms of your life. It means sometimes giving up a short-term profit to build something that lasts. It means putting your community ahead of your cash. And it means listening to that ghost in the machine, that hollow feeling in your gut, and having the courage to finally say no. There is a better way. If you went for a run in a public park in 1960, people might have called the police. The act of jogging for exercise was so strange, so out of the ordinary, it was considered suspicious behavior. It takes time for new ideas to become common sense. There's good evidence that it takes about 30 years for a society to make a major cultural shift. That's how long it took for jogging to go from weird to normal. That's how long it took for millions of people to finally quit smoking. The ideology of financial maximization has ruled for nearly 50 years, but now we are seeing the crisis it created. It is starving our communities, killing our creativity, and pumping wealth relentlessly upward to serve a tiny few. Even one of the key architects of our modern economy, John Maynard Keynes, knew this day would come. For every executive who calls that a smart deal, a community is bled dry. That is the taste of the old game. Adele refused to play. Instead, she chose to maximize fairness. She partnered with a company that could identify her most loyal fans and sell tickets directly to them at face value. Less than 2% of her tickets hit the resale market. She didn't want the richest people in her audience. She wanted the most dedicated. She chose her community over their cash. She was playing a different, better game. And by every metric that truly matters, she won. You can do this too. We are not just consumers. We are not just employees. We are value builders. We see and create value where the maximizers only see a cost to be cut. We can play a better game. Chapter 8. The title of this chapter is The End of 100 Years. Teams that attempted more three-point shots, even if they missed more often, ended up scoring more total points over the course of a game. 1.5 is greater than 1. The math was simple, but it was buried under decades of short-term thinking. This discovery changed basketball forever. Players in a single recent season took more three-pointers than in the entire first decade the shot existed. They found a new form of value, and it changed the whole game. This is what happens when you look past the obvious. The singer Adele did it when scalpers were buying up her concert tickets and reselling them to her fans at predatory prices. The old logic, the logic of financial maximization, would be to make a deal with the scalpers, take a cut, maximize revenue. For every dollar maximized that way, a true fan is priced out, their loyalty punished. She funded her game on her own terms, building something she was proud of, something that served all 4 rooms of her life. This is not irrational. This is a new kind of rational, a bigger, wiser, more human form of success. Chapter 7. The title of this chapter is Playing a Different Game. When you start to see value beyond money, you stop playing their game. You start playing a bigger one. Consider the NBA. In 1978, the league added the three-point shot. A riskier shot from farther away was now worth more. Simple. But for more than 20 years, teams barely used it. The old logic was too powerful. Why take a 30% shot when you can take a 50% shot? But then, around the year 2000, a new kind of analysis revealed a hidden truth. The coffee in the publisher's conference room tasted burnt, and the contract felt heavy enough to anchor a ship. They offered her everything she thought she wanted, so why did her stomach tighten into a knot? Her now you screamed, "Take the money! Think of the security!" Her future you whispered, "Is this who you want to be? Someone who cashed in her principles?" Her now us worried, "You have to provide for your family. This is the responsible choice." But her future us asked the final question: what kind of world am I building by helping this company succeed? This framework doesn't give you the easy answer. It forces you to ask the right questions. It reveals the full spectrum of your values so you can make a choice based on your broader self-interest. Sarah turned down the deal. What she lost was a big paycheck. What she gained was her soul. This is often the loudest voice, the one screaming for more money and less risk right now. But connected to it is the second room, future you. This is the person you hope to become, your ambitions, your character, your desire for growth and purpose. This room holds your long-term goals. The third room is now us. This contains your responsibilities to the people who depend on you right now, your family, your team, your community. It's about connection, fairness, and belonging. And the final room is future us. This holds your values for the world you will leave behind, the world your children and their children will inherit. It's about sustainability, justice, and legacy. Now, imagine you get a job offer, a huge salary, a fancy title, but it's at a company whose practices you find disgusting. A game developer I know, Sarah, faced this choice. It devastates his workers and the local community that depended on it. But for the maximizing class, this isn't a tragedy. They've already cashed their checks and moved on to the next deal. Chapter 6. The title of this chapter is The 4 Rooms of You. Have you ever seen a Japanese bento box? It's a lunchbox with different compartments, each holding a different part of the meal. It's a design for a balanced, satisfying whole. This isn't just a good way to pack a lunch. It's a brilliant way to make a decision. I call it bentoism. It's a framework for seeing your full self-interest, not just your financial interest. It is your way out of the trap. Imagine your life as a map with 4 rooms, 4 equally important spaces. The first room is Mao You. This is your self-interest in this present moment. Your needs for food, safety, and pleasure live here. During that exact same period, compensation for the maximizing class, the executives and managers, skyrocketed by an almost unbelievable 1,000%. Their playbook is always the same. It is a 4-act tragedy. Act 1. A big company merges with another, crushing smaller rivals and creating a monopoly. Act 2. The new, bigger company begins to find synergies. This is a sanitized term for mass firings and gutted services. The money they save goes straight to executives and shareholders. Act 3. The cost-cutting reaches you. Service gets worse so profit margins can get better. This is why you spend 45 minutes on hold navigating an automated phone menu from hell just to speak to a human being. Your time is an acceptable cost for them to cut. Act 4. The company, now hollowed out and stripped for parts, goes bankrupt. The private equity partners, the management consultants, the investment bankers. They are masters of a dark art, extracting wealth. They learned how to slash budgets, fire workers, and dodge taxes, all to grow profits for shareholders. And here is the key you must understand. Financial maximization makes the rich richer by making life worse for everyone else. A company's profit is created by the people who work there. Without them, there is nothing. Yet, they are the last to benefit. Consider the numbers. Between 1948 and 1973, the average American worker's wage grew by 91%. But from 1973 to 2013, it grew by a pathetic 9%. For many in the middle class, it was even worse, just 3%. Where did all the money go? A story you already know is a safer investment than a daring original idea from a new voice. What those studios stand to lose is a guaranteed opening weekend. What we lose is culture itself. This great homogenization is steamrolling your neighborhood too. Walk through any city. The unique, one-of-a-kind local shops, the places with real character, are vanishing. They are being crushed by rents they can no longer afford. And in their place, the same banks, the same pharmacies, the same coffee chains, everywhere. A world ruled by the bottom line doesn't just stifle creativity, it stifles diversity, it stifles surprise. It creates a great, gray, profitable blur. Chapter 5. The title of this chapter is The Four-Act Tragedy. When the rules changed in the 1970s and 80s, a new kind of expert took over our economy. Let's call them the maximizing class. Starting around 1996, the songs became simpler, more repetitive, more alike. What happened in 1996? The United States government passed a law that removed nearly all limits on how many radio stations a single company could own. Almost overnight, two giant corporations bought up nearly half of America's radio stations. Local radio was once a vibrant ecosystem of different tastes and local voices. Today, corporate stations have as much as a 97% overlap in the songs they play. Why? Because it's a safer financial bet. It's more efficient. It's why you hear the same perfectly average song 10 times a day. Not because it's the best song ever written, but because it's the only one you are being allowed to hear. This isn't about music. It's about a virus in the system. The same logic is why 61% of all new Hollywood movies are sequels, prequels, or reboots. This way of thinking, which dismisses values like loyalty and trust as irrational, leaked out of the Rand Corporation and infected everything. It became the default logic for business, for government, for life. Maximizing your immediate, personal gain became the definition of a smart move. Game theory gave us the perfect intellectual cover for our worst impulses. It wasn't selfish anymore. It was simply the rational thing to do. You weren't being greedy. You were just playing the game correctly. Chapter 4. The title of this chapter is The Great Gray Blur. Financial maximization makes everything the same. It is painting our world in shades of gray. A data scientist, let's call her Priya, once told me about a study she ran at a major music streaming service. She analyzed the harmonic complexity of the most popular songs year by year. The data was undeniable. They developed a new science of decision-making called game theory, and their most famous thought experiment is the prisoner's dilemma. Imagine you and a friend are arrested. The police put you in separate rooms. They offer you a deal. If you betray your friend and they stay quiet, you walk free. If your friend betrays you and you stay quiet, you get 3 years in prison. If you both betray each other, you both get 2 years. But if you both stay silent, trusting each other, you each only get 1 year. What do? The best outcome for the group is to cooperate, to stay silent. But the cold logic of game theory says the most rational individual choice is to betray your partner. It minimizes your personal risk. It's the safest bet for you and you alone. Back in 1776, the philosopher Adam Smith wrote about self-interest. He said you can trust the butcher to sell you fresh meat, not from the goodness of his heart, but because he needs to feed his own family. Society works when we all act in our own self-interest. But Smith never said self-interest meant squeezing every possible penny of profit. He didn't say the butcher should use the cheapest, lowest quality meat, underpay his staff, and lie about the weight to maximize his margin. That's not self-interest. That's just greed. So how did we get here? How did a reasonable idea about self-interest curdle into a global obsession with pure, uncut greed? The answer is stranger than you think. It begins with the Cold War and the threat of nuclear annihilation. A think tank called the Rand Corporation was hired to figure out the most rational strategies for a world with atomic bombs. It's the reason a brilliant songwriter I met in Nashville, a man whose guitar case was overflowing with soul, was driving for a rideshare service on a Saturday night. His name was Marcus, and what he stood to lose was his entire identity. He told me he'd given up touring, the one thing that made him feel truly alive, because the streaming algorithms made it financially irrational compared to driving drunk people home from bars. Let that sink in. His art, his very purpose, had become irrational. This is the world financial maximization builds. It's the voice whispering in your ear, telling you that nothing but the bottom line should guide your choices. It tells you to take the job that pays more, even if it crushes your spirit, because that's just how it works. Or is it? Chapter 3. The title of this chapter is The Rationality Trap. The numbers on a screen were the witnesses to my victory, but they offered no comfort. They felt like a foreign language describing someone else's life. My internal monologue was a single repeating question. This is it? This is what winning feels like? That night, I realized my personal definition of success, the feeling of doing good work, of building something that mattered, was dangerously out of sync with the world's definition. I was following the map perfectly, but I was completely and utterly lost. Most of our ideas about the world are not laws of nature. They're just inventions, concepts we made up. But some ideas become so embedded, so normal, that we stop seeing them. We treat them like gravity, inevitable, unquestionable. Financial maximization is the biggest invisible idea of them all. This is about seeing that heist for what it is. It's about finding the hidden architecture that holds it all up. And it's about discovering a new compass. A compass that points not just toward wealth, but toward a life that feels whole. A life that feels like yours. Chapter 2. The title of this chapter is Winning and Feeling Nothing. I remember the moment the lie fell apart for me. It was late. I was sitting in my small Brooklyn apartment, the only light coming from the laptop on my knees. The air was stale. Outside, the distant moan of city traffic was the only sound. We had just closed a major funding round for Kickstarter. A huge success. The numbers on the screen confirmed it. The charts all pointed up and to the right. On paper, we had won. But I felt nothing. A deep, profound emptiness. A hollowness behind my ribs where excitement was supposed to be. We've been sold a story that financial maximization, squeezing every last drop of profit from every situation, is not just a good strategy. We've been told it's the only rational choice. Greed became smart. Community became a market. Your life became a balance sheet. You bought the lie. We all did. But stop. Think about what gives your life its deepest texture. The loyalty of a friend. The pursuit of a skill. The feeling of belonging to a community that has your back. These are forms of value you cannot put a price on. So why have we allowed financial profit to become the only metric we use to navigate our existence?
From 1977 until today, the compensation for top CEOs has exploded by more than 1,000%. 1,000%! In that same time, the average worker's pay has barely kept up with the rising cost of bread and gas. This isn't an economic cycle, it's a heist.
And I co-founded a company called Kickstarter, and they told us we were insane. They said nobody would ever support creativity just for the sake of it. But they were wrong. That journey taught me something I can no longer ignore. The world we live in and the world we could live in are two very different places. This is an invitation to cross over. Welcome to This Could Be Our Future, Chapter 1. The title of this chapter is The 1000% Heist. What's in it for me? That question is the drumbeat of our world. For the last 50 years, the answer has been drilled into us. The answer is always money. Since the 1970s, an invisible idea has hijacked our lives. The idea that no action, no project, no dream has any real worth unless it makes money. This isn't just a Wall Street creed anymore. It runs our hospitals, it dictates our art, it governs our lives. You felt it, haven't you? That cold, hollow feeling in your gut, even when you're supposed to be winning. The sense that the rules we are all playing by are wrong. That the relentless chase for more is somehow leaving you with less. It's a ghost in the machine of your own life, a silent alarm telling you something is deeply broken. The air in your office suddenly feels thin, the light from your screen too bright. You are following the map, but the destination feels empty. By 2029, this feeling won't be a quiet whisper. It will be a roar. Because the system we've built, the one that defines success as a number in a bank account, is reaching its breaking point. And if you don't find a new compass, you risk losing the only thing that truly matters, a life of meaning. I promise you, there is a way to silence the ghost. There is a better map. My name is Yancey Strickler.